AITA for refusing to sign after my mom told me not to read my brother's loan papers? I'm Samantha, 43, and in my family I was never officially in charge of anything, which somehow meant I was responsible for everything. I lived close enough to my parents that every emergency could become my errand, and for years I let that pass as normal. My mom called me when bills were late, my dad called me when paperwork got confusing, and my brother called me when his promises expired. I used to keep a spare key to my parents' house on the same ring as my grocery rewards card, because that was basically my role. Ordinary errands, emergency fixes, and pretending it didn't bother me when nobody said thank you. I have an older sister, Leah, who is 45, and a younger brother, Owen, who is 39. Leah kept a careful distance from the family mess. She still came around for holidays, birthdays, and the occasional group text, but she had mastered the art of answering mom's calls with, "I'm walking into something, can this wait?" I didn't master that. I answered. That was how I became the daughter who handled things. First it was small. A utility bill my mom, Carol, forgot to mail. A late fee my dad, Richard, didn't understand because the notice had too much fine print. A couple $100s to Owen because he was between plans, between checks, between opportunities, between whatever excuse had the most air in it that week. The first time Owen asked me for money, he said, "I swear I'll get you Friday." Friday came and went. Then another Friday. When I mentioned it at Sunday lunch, he leaned back in his chair and said, "You act like I stole from you." I said, "You borrowed like it was temporary and disappeared like it was a gift." Mom gasped like I had slapped him. "Samantha," she said, low and sharp, because she only used my full name when she wanted me to feel 12. "Don't embarrass him." I'm not embarrassing him. I'm asking him to keep his word. He's sensitive about money right now. Owen was always sensitive about money right when someone asked him where it went. Dad didn't defend him loudly. He almost never did anything loudly. He sat at the head of the table, buttering a roll, and said his favorite sentence in the world. "Just help this once. Don't upset your mother." Once was his favorite word for things that happen every 6 months. I wish I could say I shut it down then. I didn't. I paid the utility bill. I covered the late fee. I sent Owen the money and told myself I was buying peace. Sometimes peace cost $300. Sometimes it cost a Saturday morning at the bank. Sometimes it cost me sitting at my kitchen table at 10 p.m. with a stack of my parents' mail, reading notices out loud over the phone while Dad kept saying, "I don't know why they make this so complicated." Reliable became a word they used like a compliment when they wanted something and like an insult when I asked questions. "You're the reliable one," Dad said when he listed me as a backup contact on their cable account. "You're the reliable one," Mom said when she gave my number to the pharmacy, the insurance company, the lawn guy, and a repair company that called me twice in 1 week about a dishwasher I did not own. "You're so rigid," Owen said when I asked him to text me receipts for a loan he said was for car repairs. "You've become cold," Mom said when I replied, "I'm not sending money without a bill attached." So I learned how the family math worked. Owen caused the problem. Mom cried about the problem. Dad softened the problem until no one could grab it by the neck. I fixed the problem. Then everyone acted like the problem had resolved itself through love. The storage unit had been in the background for years. It started after my grandmother died. There were too many things and not enough decisions. A grandfather clock that had stood in her hallway. Boxes of silver serving pieces wrapped in yellowing tissue paper. Her old sewing machine in a wooden cabinet with a little crack on the left side. Photo albums. A few pieces of furniture nobody had room for but everybody claimed to care about. Mom said we needed time. Dad said storage was easier than arguing. Owen said he could manage the unit because he had a truck and more flexible days. That should have been the first warning. The unit went into Owen's name. I paid the first month because the card reader at the facility was acting weird, according to Owen, which somehow meant my card worked fine. Mom said she would reimburse me. She did 3 weeks later, in cash from an envelope she pulled out of a kitchen drawer like it was a magic trick. After that, I didn't think about the unit much. Every few months, Mom mentioned Grandma's things, in the vague, emotional way she used when she wanted to make herself feel like a guardian of family history. Owen occasionally said, "We should sell some of that stuff," then acted offended when I said we should all agree first. About 8 months before the notary office, Owen made a comment at my parents' house while we were eating pizza from paper plates. "You'd be surprised what people pay for old furniture," he said, scrolling through his phone. I looked up. "What old furniture?" He smiled too quickly. "Relax. I'm just saying." Mom said, "Don't start, Samantha." I asked one question. "You ask questions like an accusation." Dad folded his napkin and stared at the TV, which wasn't even on. A few weeks after that, I noticed the grandfather clock was no longer in my parents' garage, where I remembered seeing it before Owen moved some items to storage. Mom said, "Oh honey, it's been at the unit for ages." I didn't push. That was another mistake I had to own later. I had spent so long trying not to become the difficult daughter that I let obvious things slide just because confronting them would make Mom cry. Then came the urgent call. It was a Wednesday morning. I was rinsing a coffee mug when my phone lit up with Mom's name. I let it ring once because I had learned that answering too fast trained her to panic faster. When I picked up, she was already breathless. "Samantha, I need you to meet us at a notary office at 2. "Hello to you too. This is serious." "What happened?" "The storage facility is being difficult. They need one small confirmation about Grandma's items." "What kind of confirmation?" "Just that they're family property and that you're aware of the claim." "What claim?" She sighed like I had chosen the worst possible time to learn nouns. "There was some damage. Water or roof or something. Owen has been handling it, but now they're asking for more paperwork, and it's ridiculous. We could lose everything if we don't get this done." "Send me the papers." "There's no time for you to turn this into a legal seminar." "Mom, if you need my signature, I need to read what I'm signing." "You always do this. Read things. Make helping hard." That line used to hook me. It used to make my chest tighten. I would imagine her sitting at the kitchen table with one hand on her forehead, Dad hovering uselessly, Owen making everything worse, and I would fold. That morning I looked at my coffee mug, watched one drop of water slide down the handle and said, "Email me the document or I'm not coming." She went quiet. Then she said softer, "Please, your brother is scared." I should have noticed she didn't say Owen had done nothing wrong. She said he was scared. At 1:12 p.m., she texted me an address for the notary office and wrote, "Bring your driver's license. Please don't read too carefully at the counter. You'll make him nervous." I stared at that line for a while. "Please don't read too carefully." I screenshotted it before I even answered. When I got to the notary office, the waiting area smelled like toner, coffee, and the lemon cleaner people use when they want a small office to feel more official. There were 2 chairs against the wall, a plastic plant in the corner, and a counter with a little bell nobody needed because the woman behind it had already looked up when I walked in. Mom was standing near the counter in a cream sweater she wore when she wanted to look fragile. Dad sat in one of the chairs, hands clasped between his knees. Owen was pacing by the front window, jaw tight, phone in hand. Mom hurried toward me before I could say hello. "Thank God," she whispered, pressing a pen into my hand. I looked down at it. "Where are the papers?" "Right here." She guided me toward the counter, where a stack of documents sat beside a notary stamp and a small tray of paper clips. My driver's license was barely out of my wallet before she put her hand over the top page like she was holding it in place against the wind. "Don't read every line," she whispered. "Just sign so your brother doesn't lose everything." The woman behind the counter, whose nameplate said Mara, paused with my ID in her hand. Her eyes moved from my mother's hand to my face. "Ma'am," she said carefully, "do you understand this makes you financially responsible?" The office went still in a way I can still feel when I think about it. Owen stopped pacing. Dad looked down at his shoes. Mom kept her palm on the paper 1 second too long. I said, "Financially responsible for what?" Mom laughed, but it came out thin. "She means standard responsibility. It's just wording." Mara did not laugh with her. "I can't give legal advice," Mara said, "but I can't notarize a signature from someone who is being rushed or who doesn't understand what she's signing." Owen snapped. "Nobody is rushing her." I looked at the pen still in my hand. "You literally brought me here at the last minute and told me not to read." Mom's eyes filled immediately. It was almost impressive how fast she could summon tears when witnesses were present. I cannot believe you're doing this in public, she whispered. I haven't done anything. You're humiliating me. Mara slid the top page toward me, gently but firmly dislodging Mom's hand. You need to read the document before signing. I set the pen down. The title on the page was not confirmation. It was a transfer and assumption form. My full legal name was already typed into multiple blanks. The document said I would accept responsibility for unpaid storage charges, accrued fees, transfer costs, and future account obligations. Another section said I would verify the accuracy of the claim inventory attached to the form. I read the same paragraph 3 times, because part of me still expected reality to rearrange itself into something less insulting. Why is my name typed here already? I asked. Owen rubbed his forehead. Because you're the only one they'll listen to. That's not an answer. It's an account issue. They need someone with clean information. Clean information? Dad spoke without looking at me. There's a time to be practical and a time to be family. I turned a page. The amount overdue was not a little late fee. It was 9 months of unpaid storage rent, plus late fees, a lot cut fee, and administrative charges related to a pending auction notice. It was enough money to hurt, but not enough to justify the level of theater unless there was more under it. There was more under it. The claim inventory listed items supposedly present in the unit at the time of water damage. The grandfather clock. Silver serving pieces. My grandmother's sewing machine. 2 upholstered chairs. A cedar chest. I remembered Owen talking about old furniture. I remembered the clock missing from the garage. I remembered a front door camera notification from my parents' house months earlier. Back when Dad had asked me to set up the app and keep access because he could never remember the password. The clip had shown Owen loading boxes and something tall wrapped in a blanket into a truck late at night. I hadn't thought much of it because he was always moving something. Now my stomach tightened. I tapped the inventory page. Were these items actually in the unit when the damage happened? Owen's eyes flicked to Mom before he answered. That look told me more than his words ever could have. Why are you interrogating me? He said. I'm asking if the list is true. It's Grandma's stuff. It's family stuff. Why are you acting like we're criminals? Mara looked down at the papers, professional enough not to react, human enough that I saw her lips pressed together. Mom started crying harder. Not loud sobbing. Controlled, wounded crying. The kind where she could still make sure everyone heard the right words. I raised a daughter who would rather read fine print than help her mother. I looked at her. That fine print is why you brought me here. Her face changed. Only for a second, but I saw it. The tears stayed, but her eyes went cold. Dad stood up slowly. Samantha, don't make your mother beg. I'm not signing something you hid from me. You're making this bigger than it needs to be, he said. No. I noticed it was bigger before I signed. Owen stepped closer. If you loved us, you'd sign now and ask questions later. That sentence did something useful. It burned through the last soft part of me that still wanted to believe this was confusion. I picked up my driver's license from the counter and put it back in my wallet. Mara said quietly, no one else can answer understanding for her. Thank you, I said. Mom whispered. Samantha. I looked at her, then at Dad, then at Owen. You didn't need a daughter today. You needed a signature. Then I walked out. By the time I reached my car, my phone was vibrating. Mom called twice. Dad called once. Owen texted first. Are you seriously going to let them take everything because of your pride? Then Mom. Please come back. I can't take any more. Then Dad. Don't do this to your mother. I sat in the parking lot with both hands on the steering wheel and felt the old reflex rise up. Explain. Defend. Soften. Make it less ugly. Turn around and fix it, then be angry later where no one had to see. Instead, I opened my notes app and wrote down everything I remembered. Mom's text about not reading too carefully, her hand over the page, Mara's warning, Owen's clean information, Dad's time to be family, the overdue balance, the items on the inventory, and Owen looking at Mom before answering. I did not call anyone back. 3 hours later, the rumor campaign started. Leah texted me at 5:43 p.m. Mom says you walked out over storage fees. Is that true? I typed a response, erased it, typed another one, erased that too. The old me would have written 4 paragraphs and ended with, "I'm not trying to be difficult." I had spent years making my boundaries sound like apologies. This time I wrote, "That is the smallest possible version of what happened." She replied almost immediately, "So what happened?" I sent, "I'm getting the documents together. I'll send you facts, not a fight." She did not answer for 10 minutes. Then she wrote, "You know Mom is devastated." I stared at that sentence until the letters blurred. Mom was always devastated right when someone else was at risk. Aunt Paula called next. She was my dad's younger sister, practical in a way that made Mom nervous. Paula did not like conflict, but she liked being lied to even less. I let it go to voicemail because I wasn't ready to speak without shaking. Her message was short. "Samantha, your mother called me crying. I'm not calling to yell. I'm calling because none of what she said made sense. Call me when you can." That was the first oxygen I had gotten all day. I did not call her back yet. I needed something firmer than my word. The next morning, I called the storage facility. The manager's name was Ken. His voice was calm, tired, and completely uninterested in our family drama, which made him my favorite person that week. I gave him the account information from the form and explained that my name had been typed into transfer paperwork, but I was not the account holder and had not signed anything. He put me on hold for 3 minutes. I spent those 3 minutes staring at the crumbs in my toaster because my brain had picked the most ordinary object in the room to attach itself to. When he came back, he said, "The account is in Owen's name. Not mine. No, you are not listed as the account holder. Am I responsible for any balance? Not unless you sign the transfer and assumption form accepting the account." I closed my eyes. "Can you send that to me in writing? I can send a basic confirmation that you are not the account holder, and that debt cannot be assigned to you without your acceptance." "Please do." He added, "There is an overdue balance, and the account is in a pre-auction status. I can't discuss all details with you unless the account holder authorizes it, but I can confirm your status." That's enough. Ken emailed me within an hour. The message was plain and procedural. The unit was in Owen's name. I was not responsible for the account. Any transfer would require my voluntary signature. The facility could not assign charges to someone who had not accepted them. I saved it as a PDF and printed 2 copies. Then Owen slipped. At 11:28 a.m. he texted me, "You know I can't cover 9 months plus fees." I screenshotted it before the typing bubbles even disappeared. A minute later he wrote, "That came out wrong." Then, "I meant this isn't only my problem." Then, "Grandma's stuff belongs to everyone." I did not answer. At noon Mom left a voicemail. "I hope you're proud of yourself. Your brother is sick over this. Your father barely slept. I have never felt so abandoned by one of my children. All we asked was for you to help us keep Grandma's things safe, and you turned it into some kind of courtroom. I don't know who you are anymore." She sounded tearful. She also sounded rehearsed. I listened twice. On the second listen, I noticed what she did not say. She did not say the paperwork was harmless. She did not say I misunderstood. She did not say Owen was current on the account. She did not say the inventory was accurate. That was when I stopped thinking like a daughter trying to be understood and started thinking like an adult protecting her name. I emailed the notary office. I kept it short. I wrote that I had declined to sign the transfer and assumption form presented to me under family pressure, that I had not authorized anyone to use my name on storage documents, and that I was requesting they note I did not complete or consent to the transaction. I thanked Mara for following proper procedure. Mara replied the same afternoon. She wrote that no notarization had occurred, no signature had been witnessed, and no completed document from me was on file. I saved that too. Then I emailed the storage facility. I stated that I was not the account holder, did not accept transfer of the debt, did not authorize release of any claim funds in my name, and would not verify an inventory I had not inspected. Ken replied with a receipt confirmation and repeated that the account remained with Owen. That was the first day in years I did not feel guilty for being precise. After that, I went through my own accounts. Years earlier, I had opened a small joint emergency checking account with Mom because Dad had been hospitalized briefly, and she needed a way to move money quickly if something happened. For a while it held almost nothing. Then it became the place where Mom would make small withdrawals and tell me later. Just temporary. For groceries. For your father's prescription. For Owen, but don't mention it. Closed it. Then I removed Mom as an authorized user from a credit card in my name. She had been on it for emergencies, which apparently had expanded to include a $214 charge at a tire shop Owen used, and a $76 gas station charge on a day Mom had not left the house. The confirmation email arrived while I was sitting at my kitchen table with a stack of old bank transfer receipts in front of me. I did not feel triumphant. I felt embarrassed it had taken me this long. I changed the code on my small home safe too. Inside it were my passport, birth certificate, old tax records, and copies of family paperwork I had stored because Samantha keeps things organized. It also had a few documents with my old signatures on them from years of helping Mom with forms. I suddenly hated that phrase, keeps things organized. It sounded harmless until people started organizing their consequences around you. 2 days later I found the ledger. I had been sorting through a file folder of old records from my parents, things I had scanned for them during tax season. Tucked between a property tax bill and an appliance warranty was a folded piece of lined paper in Mom's handwriting. First I thought it was a repayment list. Dates. Amounts. Short notes. S paid electric $312. S covered Owen car $480. S card for groceries $146. S can cover if needed. Next to Owen's name were arrows. Next to larger amounts were little question marks. At the bottom, written in smaller script, was, "Don't ask all at once. She pushes back if she feels cornered." I sat very still. It wasn't a thank you list. It was a pressure map. That hurt more than the notary office. The notary office was a trap I had seen before it closed. The ledger proved Mom had studied how far I could be bent. That night Leah called. I almost didn't answer, but I did. She didn't say hello. She said, "Mom is telling everyone you refused to save Grandma's belongings because you're mad at Owen. Are you asking or reporting?" A pause. "I'm trying to understand." "That's new." "I deserve that," she said quietly. I rubbed my forehead. "I'm not discussing rumors. I'll send you the paperwork if you want the facts." "Send it." So I did. Not everything. I did not send the ledger yet. I sent Ken's email confirming I was not responsible. The notary office response, Mom's text telling me not to read too carefully, and a photo of the paragraph saying I would assume unpaid fees and verify the claim inventory. Leah called back 20 minutes later. "Why didn't Mom tell me this is what you were signing? Because then you might have asked why she wanted me to sign it." She went quiet. Then she said, "I thought you were being harsh. You thought that because Mom gave you the version where I was the only person with a choice." "I'm sorry," Leah said. I believe she meant it, but I was too tired to comfort her for realizing something late. "Thank you," I said. The family text got messier over the next few days. Mom sent long messages to a group chat with relatives I barely spoke to. "Carol, please pray for our family. We are facing a painful situation with Grandma's belongings, and it is heartbreaking when pride gets in the way of love. Owen." Some people care more about paperwork than blood. A cousin I had not seen in 2 years sent a sad face emoji. Another wrote, "Can't everyone just pitch in?" Aunt Paula replied, "What exactly is being asked of Samantha?" No one answered her. I did not argue in the chat. I sent one message. "I'm not discussing rumors. Anyone who wants the paperwork can ask me directly." Mom called me within 30 seconds. I did not pick up. Dad left a voicemail 10 minutes later. "You need to stop making this public. Your mother is very upset. We can handle this privately if you just calm down." Privately meant I absorbed the risk. Public meant people could see who was holding the pen. On Friday morning, Mom escalated. She texted, "We are meeting at the storage facility tomorrow at 10. Bring your ID and stop embarrassing us. Ken said if you sign and pay, this can still be fixed." I read that twice. Then I called Ken. He sounded even more tired than before. "Did you tell my mother this could be fixed if I signed and paid?" I asked. "No," he said. No hesitation. I told the account holder and his authorized contacts that the account balance must be addressed, and any transfer requires the accepting party's signature. I did not instruct you to sign. Would you be willing to state the basic account facts if my family shows up tomorrow? I can state policy and confirm who is listed if the account holder is present or authorizes the discussion. I'm not getting in the middle of a family dispute. I'm not asking you to. I'm asking you not to let them say I owe something I don't. He sighed. That I can do. I texted Mom back. I'll bring the papers. She responded with a heart emoji. That annoyed me more than the insults. The next morning, I parked outside the storage facility at 9:54. It was an ordinary place which made the whole thing feel stranger. Rows of beige units with orange numbers. A chain-link fence. A small office with a glass door and a rack of packing tape near the counter. A moving truck idled near the gate while two men argued about a couch wedged halfway into the back. Mom and Dad were already there. Mom wore sunglasses even though she was inside the office when I walked in. Dad held a folder but did not open it. Owen stood by the counter, arms crossed, face red. Leah was there too, wearing the expression she got when she was regretting agreeing to something. Aunt Paula stood beside her, purse tucked under one arm. Mom looked at my hands. Did you bring your ID? I brought the papers. Samantha, Dad murmured. No, I said. Not today. Ken came out from the back office with a clipboard. He nodded at me, then at Owen. Owen said, Can we just get this done? We're on a deadline because she dragged her feet. I almost laughed. Aunt Paula turned to Ken. Can I ask a simple question? Ken looked relieved by the word simple. If it's about general policy, yes. Is Samantha actually responsible for this account? No, Ken said. The account is in Owen's name. The room shifted. Leah looked at Mom. Mom's mouth tightened. Paula asked, Would Samantha become responsible only if she signs the transfer and assumption form? Yes, Ken said. We cannot assign debt to someone who has not accepted it. Mom said quickly, That's not the point. The point is saving the belongings. I opened my folder. The point is that you told people I walked away from a family emergency. What you left out is that you tried to make me responsible for 9 months of Owen's unpaid rent, late fees, a lock-cut fee, future charges, and the accuracy of a claim inventory I did not inspect. Owen scoffed. You love making things sound worse. I set down the first page of the form, then Ken's email, then Mara's email. I'm making them sound like what they are. Mom's voice trembled. After everything I've done for you, you're going to humiliate me over paperwork? No, I said. The paperwork is what stopped you from humiliating me with debt. Dad stepped toward me. Don't do this to your mother. I looked at him. Really looked at him. His gentle face. His soft voice. His hands holding a folder he would not open because opening it would make him responsible for what was inside. You keep saying that like she didn't do it to me first. He flinched. Good. Leah picked up the inventory page. Her eyes moved down the list. The grandfather clock? She said. Owen's face changed. What about it? He said. Leah stared at him. That clock wasn't in storage. Mom said. Leah, don't start. No, Leah's voice sharpened. I saw the resale photo. Owen posted it months ago. He said it belonged to a friend. Aunt Paula took the page from Leah. The silver, she asked. Owen threw up his hands. Some of that stuff was sitting around for years. Nobody cared until now. I pulled out a printed screenshot from the front door camera app. It showed Owen carrying boxes from my parents' garage to his truck months before the date listed on the claim. I had blurred nothing because it was our family property on our parents' driveway, from an app Dad had asked me to maintain. The timestamp was clear. I'm not saying every listed item was sold, I said. I'm saying my signature was supposed to verify that all of these items were present when the damage happened. I wasn't there. And now at least one person in this room is admitting some weren't. Ken cleared his throat. We can't process disputed inventory verification through a person who won't attest to it. Owen turned on him. Are you serious? Ken's expression did not change. Yes. Mom pressed her fingers to her temples. I was protecting this family. Aunt Paula said. From the truth or from consequences? Mom's tears came then, bigger than at the notary office. She looked smaller in the fluorescent light, But for the first time in my life, I did not move toward her. She looked at Leah. You don't understand what it's like to watch your son struggle, Leah said. Then help him openly. Don't use Samantha's name. Dad finally opened his folder. There was almost nothing inside except a copy of the auction notice and a handwritten balance. He looked at Owen, then at Mom. How much of it is gone? He asked. Owen stared at him. Dad. How much? Mom said. Richard not here. Dad looked at me, and for 1 second I saw shame break through his practiced avoidance. You knew more than you told me, he said to Mom. She snapped. I knew we were running out of options. I said no. You were running out of people willing to be responsible. Owen pointed at me. You're blowing up a whole family over a storage bill. I picked up Mom's text from my folder and read it out loud. Please don't read too carefully at the counter. You'll make him nervous. The office went quiet except for the beep of a truck backing up outside. I placed Owen's text beside it. You know I can't cover 9 months plus fees. Then I placed the inventory page on top. This was not a request for help. I was asked to take the fall. Mom whispered. You've become so cold. I looked at the pen clipped to Ken's clipboard, and for some reason that tiny ordinary object made me angrier than anything else. A pen had almost done what years of guilt had prepared me to accept. No, I said. I just stopped letting you use my name to keep everyone else clean. Dad said very softly, Samantha. I turned to him. Your silence already picked a side. He had no answer. Ken explained what would happen next in the same plain tone he had used on the phone. The account remained Owen's responsibility. The overdue balance still had to be dealt with. The auction process would follow facility policy if the account was not brought current. The claim would not move forward with me as a verifying signer. If there were disputes about inventory, Owen needed to address them with the appropriate claim contact. No thunder. No dramatic punishment. Just consequences, which were apparently the one thing my family had never budgeted for. Outside, Owen followed me to my car. You're happy now, he said. I opened my door. No. You want me ruined. I want my name off your mess. You always thought you were better than me. I looked at him over the roof of my car. No, Owen. I thought you'd eventually get tired of being rescued. I was wrong. He called me something under his breath. I got in the car and closed the door before he could turn it into a scene. That afternoon, I sent one message to the relatives who had contacted me. Not the whole family. Not social media. Just the people Mom had directly pulled into judging me. I wrote, I didn't create the storage problem. I only stopped letting my name be used to hide it. The account is in Owen's name. I am not legally responsible unless I sign a transfer form. I declined to sign because the paperwork would have made me responsible for unpaid fees and required me to verify an inventory I did not inspect. I'm attaching the storage facility confirmation and the notary confirmation. I won't debate this by phone. I attached 2 documents. Nothing more. Within an hour the tone changed. Cousin Mark wrote, I didn't know that's what they asked you to sign. Sorry. Aunt Paula wrote, thank you for sending fax. Another relative replied privately, your mom made it sound like you refused to chip in $100. Leah called that evening. I should have asked before I judged you, she said. Yes, I said. She let out a breath. That's fair. I was sitting on my couch with takeout noodles in my lap, still in the same jeans I had worn to the storage facility. My phone was face down beside me because every buzz made my shoulders tighten. Leah said, I stayed out of it for years because it was easier to assume you had it handled. I know. That wasn't fair. No. I'm sorry. This time the words reached me a little more. Thank you, I said. She asked, are you okay? I looked around my quiet living room, the lamp by the window, the half-empty takeout container, my keys on the table still holding my parents' spare key, and my grocery rewards card. No, I said. But I'm not signing anything. She gave a small laugh and then we both got quiet. The fallout was not clean. Families like mine do not collapse into truth all at once. They leak excuses for weeks. Mom told people I had made her look like a liar. I told one person. I stopped helping her sound honest. And then I stopped explaining. Owen left me 3 voicemails in 2 days. The first was angry. The second was self-pitying. The third tried to sound casual. Look, Sam, this got out of hand. If you can just help with part of the balance, I can make arrangements for the rest. We don't need to keep dragging Mom through this. I deleted it after saving a copy. The storage claim was paused. I only knew because Ken sent me a brief confirmation that my name had been removed from all pending transfer documents, and that any claim verification would have to come from the account holder or an authorized claimant who could certify the inventory. He did not tell me more, and I did not ask. A week later, Aunt Paula called from her car. I could hear traffic through the speaker. I didn't want your mother overhearing me, she said. That sounds healthy. She snorted. We passed healthy a few exits ago. Then she told me what Dad had apparently admitted to her. He had known the unit was months behind. He had known Owen had sold a few things. He claimed he did not know the inventory still listed them. He claimed he thought Mom was only asking me to help with a transfer so the facility would stop dealing with Owen. Do you believe him? I asked. Paula sighed. I believe your father is very talented at not knowing things that would require him to act. That was the cleanest description of Dad I had ever heard. The collection notices went to Owen. He called Dad first, not me. Dad paid part of the balance openly this time, and Mom hated that because open help could be counted. Open help could be questioned. Open help did not let her pretend the family problem had magically disappeared through Samantha's loyalty. Owen still lost some items when he could not bring the account fully current in time. Not everything. Enough. The exact details became murky because he lied even when the truth would have sounded better. What I knew was that the facility did not transfer the account to me, the claim did not pay out based on my signature, and Owen had to deal with the remaining balance under his own name. For my family, that counted as a revolution. Mom did not speak to me for 10 days. It was the loudest peace I had ever had. On the 11th day, she called while I was folding laundry. I watched the phone ring until it went to voicemail. Then it rang again. Then Dad texted. Please answer your mother. She is very upset. I replied, I will talk to Mom once. If she yells, lies, or pressures me about money, I will hang up. Dad sent nothing back. I called her 20 minutes later because I wanted to do it while my voice was steady. She answered on the first ring. You broke this family, she said. So much for hello. No, Mom. I set a folded towel on the table. The family was not broken by the truth. It was broken by using one person as a shield. She made a wounded sound. You made us look like liars. I stopped helping you sound honest. I just wanted to keep this family from falling apart. Then you should have asked for help honestly. You would have said no. There it was. The closest she had come to the truth. I would have said no to taking legal responsibility for Owen's debt and signing a claim inventory I couldn't verify. Yes. He is your brother. And I am your daughter. She went quiet for a moment. Then softer. I don't know how you became this hard. That used to work too. The suggestion that I had changed into something unloving. The hint that boundaries were damaged. I looked at my keys on the table. Before I called her back, I had taken my parents' spare key off the ring. It was sitting beside the grocery rewards card, ordinary and small, but it felt like removing a hook from my skin. I'm going to say this once, I told her. I will not sign family paperwork without time to read it and independent review if I need it. I will not pay Owen's debts. I will not be listed on accounts, claims, storage units, loans, or transfers I do not control. I will not answer relatives who call only to repeat your version. Any future request needs to be in writing and fully transparent. You're treating us like strangers. No. I'm treating my signature like it belongs to me. You care more about being right than being a daughter. I almost smiled, but there was nothing funny about it. No, Mom. I just stopped letting you use my name to keep everyone else clean. She cried then, but I could hear the anger under it. I hope you're happy with yourself. I'm not happy, I said. I'm done. I ended the call before she could turn my calm into cruelty. Dad texted an hour later. That was unnecessary. I replied, so was the notary office. He did not respond. A month passed. Then 2. Leah and I started talking more but differently. She did not use me as the family information desk anymore. When Mom complained to her that I had changed, Leah said, maybe we should have noticed what we were asking from her. Mom hated that. I appreciated it more than Leah knew. Aunt Paula invited me for coffee and did not mention the storage unit until I did. That alone nearly made me cry. We talked about her garden, Leah's oldest kid starting to drive, and the ridiculous price of eggs. At the end, she touched my wrist and said, "For what it's worth, I'm sorry I didn't ask better questions sooner." I said, "Me too." That was enough. Mom sent cards for holidays with underlined phrases like family, forgiveness, and togetherness. I did not throw them away, but I did not let them become instructions. Owen stopped asking me for money after I replied to one request with "send the bill, the account holder name, and the repayment plan in writing." Apparently written transparency was garlic to him. The family-linked account stayed closed. Mom's authorized user card stayed canceled. My safe code stayed changed. My parents' spare key stayed off my ring. The grocery rewards card stayed, which felt right. I was still allowed to be ordinary. I was still allowed to buy milk, forget coupons, stand in line behind someone arguing about expired cereal, and go home to a phone that did not own me. Sometimes I still felt guilty. Not because I thought I was wrong, but because guilt had been trained into me as a reflex. A buzz on my phone could still pull my stomach tight. Mom's name on the screen could still make me feel like I was about to be assigned a problem. But then I would remember the notary office. Her hand covering the page. The pen in my palm. Mara's voice cutting through the performance. "Do you understand this makes you financially responsible?" I understood now. Not just the document. All of it. They had spent years teaching me that love meant being useful, quiet, and available. The moment I read the fine print, they called it betrayal. I didn't destroy my family. I just stopped being the wall they hid the cracks behind. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.